Hey, everybody, welcome back
Boom.
to Fans that No, we're not live, so we don't say boom. Welcome back to Fans of Something. And tonight we're talking about our monthly watch of February, which was a longer month than it normally is, but also a shorter month than most months. So we're doing this pre-recorded because we are going live in just like 2 days from now. So we didn't want to do back-to-back
Double live.
live streams. So this is going to be a relatively short episode compared to our normal ones because we won't have the live chat. So we're not going to be distracted by that. We're just going to power through these.
Still make comments anyway.
And
We'll react to them in retrospect.
yeah, we'll talk about it all. So let's hop on over to a Letterboxd and switch to the right screen. Here we go. Get rid of the background. Perfect. All right. So this is our letterbox. Well, this is my letterbox, but you can follow both of us if you would like to. The links are down below. So here's diary. There we go. Perfect. All right. So let's kick things off here. February 1st.
I forgot we watched this.
We ended up watching. So this was our second month with AMC
Movie
subs.
subs A-list.
Yeah, the A-list, if you will. And we were able to watch ISS, International Space Station.
Yeah, I already forgot about it.
So I'll talk about this a little bit. This, kind of got bashed a little bit. I enjoyed it for what it was. Could the plot have been, and the story and the script have been improved? I think it could have, but for the simplicity of what it was, these two opposing forces, aka America and Russia. They're on the International Space Station and they have commands from Earth to seize the International Space Station, respectively.
Yeah, as like the world's being blown up underneath them.
Right. So immense stakes. You never leave the space station, and for me, it worked. It was very good. I was thoroughly engaged into it. You, on the other hand, apparently were not.
It was just too boring. Like for what it was and what it, like how you said the stakes were so high. There's literally bombs on Earth below. Like that's like intense. And for an intense premise, it was just so boring.
No.
And you like how you say that without AMC Stubbs A-list, whatever, there's quite a few movies that we wouldn't have normally seen. And this is definitely one of them.
I don't know.
I don't know. I wouldn't have. I guess I wouldn't have cared.
Yeah, it's a case by case thing. So everyone check it out if that's something that looks interesting to you. Next up, February 2nd, we watched the Best Picture winner, Rocky.
Also Felix's favorite movie.
Our cat was very engaged with this one.
Yeah, he loved this movie. He loves Rocky Balboa.
And we did watch this in honor of Carl Weathers passing away. That was sort of our, let's watch a Carl Weathers movie that we should. This is arguably his most well-known movie.
And we're also well, I guess more so this month, but we're also just trying to watch all the Best Picture winners.
Not all the Best Picture winners, but
well,
a lot of them.
I would like to all of them at some point.
Yeah, but when I first watched this years and years ago, I wasn't really into it because it's really not about boxing. It's much more about the love story between Rocky and Adrian. But years removed in the future, I was really, a fan of it, and I want to continue on with the Rocky films.
Yeah.
If you were to ask me though, which are you a bigger fan of, Rocky, the first Rocky, or Creed? 100% Creed.
I've never seen Creed.
Creed is so good. Oh my god!
Literally, I kid y'all not. This movie is like what, 2 hours long, and Fee watched like the whole thing.
Yeah,
the whole thing. Yeah. It was
now,
crazy.
Best Picture quality, I would have to watch the other ones, but just in my opinion, I don't know that this is necessarily Best Picture worthy. I don't know. I would have to see all the other ones that it was up against, but just having seen it, it's like, Best Picture?
I'd say it's, I don't know if it's Best Picture, but it's definitely like earned its iconic like cult classic status.
Right. But yeah. Onward and upward to Rocky 2 and R.I.P. Carl Weathers. You'll always be Chubbs to me. Next up, we watched Matthew Vaughn's new film, Argyle. This stars your guy, Henry Cavill.
Yeah, with his fuck ass haircut.
Dua Lipa. We got Bryce Dallas Howard in here. We
Yeah.
got Sam Rockwell in here. Sam Jackson in here.
John Cena. in here.
Cena boys in there. So this is a classic case of quantity over quality for most people. It is a bloated hunk of a film. Doesn't know when the hell to end, but I still enjoyed it out of the theater. Now, you, in retrospect, you were like, this was awful out of the
Well,
theater.
Well, I was slightly under the influence while going to see Argyle. Worst decision ever in hindsight because this didn't feel like a real movie at the time. I was quite literally like, I felt like I was melting like into my seat. And this movie, I can't even begin to tell you what this movie felt like to me at the time. Not real.
Not real.
Not real. But yeah, especially like if you would call it the third act, I can't even just go see it sheerly for the what the fuck value that it has.
Yeah, it's I had totally forgot how visual of a director Matthew Vaughn is, having seen Kingsman: The Secret Service and that whole church sequence, which is the thing that everyone talks about. There's something similar in here where two characters are literally just killing people left and right, but it's the most poetic, colorful thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
I like
But you like it now.
I do.
Yeah, you like it now.
Because it's so not a real movie.
Yeah.
You know, I thought the trailer basically explained the whole movie. It's like this spy thing, and then, she writes the book, and then it happens. All right. It's so not just that. There's layers. This movie's like an ogre. It has layers. And I just think I was so caught off guard during the viewing of this that upon like me thinking after, I'm like, wait a minute, that's kind of everything I like about this movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You just kind of have to see it to believe me. I don't know.
Yep. Definitely check it out. It's probably not going to be playing by the time you see this, but wait for the physical release to come out. Following that, on the 5th, we watched The Jungle Book, the original animated, and wasn't a fan of this. To me, I think Tarzan, which is a very similar story, did it way better.
Well, they also did that way later.
Yeah, but they definitely improved upon what they had done here. And I'm not even a fan of the Jon Favreau version, so I just don't think I'm a fan of the story of The Jungle Book.
I don't know, iconic songs. It's just that era of Disney, they were sort of in a rut in this time, like the late 60s, early 70s, or kind of throughout the 70s. They were kind of stuck in this rut, and even the animation shows for it. But for what it was, I mean, 1967, I guess you can't complain too much.
Next up, we watched a Best Picture nominee for this year, American Fiction.
I was gonna date this episode.
But this is it's like a middle kind of Best Picture nominee. It's, I think, my third favorite currently, and we've seen 6 of the 10.
Like, we wouldn't be mad if this won. There would be some where we would be mad. We wouldn't be mad if this won.
No, I wouldn't be mad. I'd be shocked.
Yeah, but there's another movie later down this list that if it does win, I will be mad about it. But no, I thought this was really interesting, unique.
So it's a funny kind of selling out. What's the price of selling out?
A lot of movies based on books, surrounded around books, narratively. I'm just now noticing that. With literally, if I had a nickel for every movie we watched that involved a book so far, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Okay, she had to say it. So yeah, it was all right. It's not like,
oh, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I don't.
You liked it.
I liked it. Yeah, it's all right, but I don't think that it's like I'm not gonna buy it when it's out on physical. I have no desire to ever rewatch this movie. But yeah, it is good. It is a good movie.
I just like, I guess, the commentary that it added, like going off of the train of origin.
Mm.
So it's just nice, like, especially because Black History Month is the month of February. This was a nice film to be released during that time.
Right. Yeah, it was fun. Following that, you wanted to show me this thing. I don't even know what it was.
Betty Boop. I love Betty Boop.
Yeah. I have nothing to say about it except don't watch this if you're under any kind of influence.
Oh, yeah. No, you think Argyle would mess you up? This is worse.
Next up, we watch. What did we watch? Oh, the original Cinderella.
I love how none of your friends other than me watched that Snow White.
Yeah. Again, I have not seen the Lily James live action version. Very excited for that though.
No, this okay. Around this time, like you would consider this to be the golden age of Disney, pre like 1960 and back, to Snow White. That's like their golden age, I think, right? And the more I mean, I've seen Cinderella before, don't get me wrong. I've seen this a bunch of times. But rewatching them now at the age that I am, rather than like the 5, 6-year-old I was back then, seeing it for the first time, I really grown to appreciate it more and like really understand like why Disney is so important the way it is, like with their foundational animation films. Uh, Like you see this and you think 1950 and it's beautiful. It is absolutely gorgeous. Granted, you get what you pay for, like the budget of this versus the budget of, Jungle Book. But I just like it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
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 And also another note, again, in like watching this now as a 22-year-old versus a 2-year-old, there's hardly even Cinderella in here. It's really just a game of Tom and Jerry featuring the girl with blonde hair.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of mice action. Hardly any Cinderella, but I digress.
She digresses. After that, we did watch a pretty unique movie. This was from the daughter of Robin Williams. Found that out as I think I was writing this review and found that out.
Meeple baby.
But yeah, this one I liked it. It's all right. Again, won't own it on physical. That's sort of like a measuring stick of mine. And if it comes out on physical, am I immediately going to buy it? I have no interest of ever watching this movie ever again.
The fact that it took place in the 80s was a nice touch because there were like there were references throughout there that I'm just like, that's a far reach. That was a what do they call it? Like a deep cut. That was a deep cut. And also a very odd like affinity for a trip to the moon that this girl has.
Yes.
Again, deep cut, very odd. I don't hate that though. And Cole Sprouse.
Yeah. Pretty cool debut for her.
I like it. PG-13 horror for what it is. Fine. Like how I think what your friend said is best. Like 3-ish stars.
Yeah.
Fine.
Speaking of PG-13 horror, this is The Wicker Man.
Wow, I forgot.
I'm pretty sure it's PG-13.
It is,
theatrical.
but we didn't watch the theatrical. We watched the unrated.
The unrated.
Yeah, which fun fact is the only version that has the not the bees, not the bees.
Yeah.
So that's the only version you should watch. Not the bees. The theater thought that the bees were too much.
Yeah, I would if I had to watch one of these stories, I would watch this one just purely for Nick Cage. But that's the only reason I really liked it.
I don't know, maybe like I know there's some real diehard Wicker Man fans out there, but I'm just not one of them.
No.
Like I like the idea of a cult and like luring somebody in like for a sacrificial killing, but it's such a slow burn.
Yeah, I love the ending though of both the Wicker Mans. That's always the saving grace. And I was
Yeah.
worried if this was going to be like too CGI looking, but no, it looks good. So happy
Yeah.
for it.
I just forgot we watched this. Both your friends gave it half a star.
And this
This
thing,
is what would make me mad if this was a Best Picture winner.
yeah, this I think ended up at the bottom of both of our 2024 Best Picture nominees.
Like, okay, let me vent for a second. Zone of Interest, okay? I understand the intent behind this movie. Like, if you read all the reviews, it's basically like, you know, you're getting a perspective during the Holocaust that is not the people's perspective that we should be caring about. I digress. Like the mundane everyday lives of a typical Nazi family. And it just holds itself to such a pretentious standard
Mhm.
to where it's like, do we really need to see just how posh and privileged these people were living? And literally, like, in the background, you hear, like, screams of agony and pain and torture. It's just like, this is the story that we need to tell. They couldn't, like they couldn't even like, they didn't even have to lift a finger because they had, servants, like, slaves, if you will, around them. Like, that's so hard. Their lives were so hard. Like, their gardens weren't getting watered enough, and they have to move houses to go to a different concentration camp, and they have to downgrade from what. Shut up. Please actually shut up. I understand, like, and spoiler alerts, whatever, because I really don't care. Like, don't even go see this movie. It shows, like a flash into the future of the museum, the Holocaust Museum, and it's basically like they thought they were the shit, that Nazis thought they were it, but ultimately their actions don't matter because they don't exist today, that the regime is gone. So what they do doesn't matter. Huh?
Mm.
Huh? Like, I don't know about y'all, but living in the state of the country that we are in, you still see, like, people with SS tattoos and flying flags and commenting on Twitter and stuff, and it's very much still here. Why are like you said it best, fuck this movie. Fuck this movie. Like, and I understand that every Holocaust movie has to be so grim and graphic, a la Schindler's List, but it's like that's what matters. Like, it doesn't matter if it makes you uncomfortable. Shove it in your face. Like, that's reality. Like, this is what happened. You can't ignore it. It can't just be a background. It can't be an undertone of your stupid, pretentious white privilege movie. It boo, Zone of Interest. Boo.
Yeah, this is definitely. I would replace this with Origin if I were
Yeah. And
doing the nominees.
that's a dig at Origin. That's a real bad dig at Origin.
Moving along, we watched Escape from Tomorrow, which is a pretty unique movie. It was supposedly secretly filmed at the majority of Walt Disney World, but also some at Disneyland, I believe. And
Epcot.
it's like a lot of people have compared it to like something David Lynch would make. Yeah, it's hardly a movie.
Yeah, it's not a movie.
Why it was in black and white, I couldn't tell you.
And the color grading was so bad.
Just
Or I guess color, like exposure grading, whatever. Really bad.
yeah, quite literally the only thing I like about this movie is how it was made. That's the only thing I like about this movie.
The only thing I liked about this movie was there was a time where one of the characters had to say Disney by name and it got bleeped out like a censor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently Disney didn't even care about this movie. They were like, okay, fuck your movie. It's just going to fall into obscurity. We're not even going to bother trying to sue your ass.
Yeah, and it ended up in the Disney Encyclopedia. The official Disney Encyclopedia.
So, yep, there you go. Next up, you wanted to show me something that was more interesting than the Zone of Interest, called Night and Fog.
I wouldn't necessarily say more interesting, more
No, it is,
important,
'cause it's definitely more interesting.
but also just more important. And
Only thing I was not on board is this has a, and you blamed it for the time it was made in, but the score is way too like happy, uplifting. It's like we're watching.
Yeah.
What are we like? What I'm watching and what I'm listening to doesn't correlate.
yeah, a lot of the reviews on Letterboxd say that too. And to me, that's neither here nor there. It's really like the dialogue. Like I really don't even hear the score because I'm so hyper focused on like the dialogue and the images. Like this is what should be shown rather than the Zone of Interest. Like this is, I mean, don't watch this. Like it's not for the faint of heart because there's actual like corpses, dead bodies, like photos, videos, image, like it's graphic. But at the same time, do watch it because this is a better media format of like the Holocaust than Zone of Interest is because it's documenting the people that actually suffered, not so I can't say anymore. I'll get too angry.
Yeah, I would recommend it's a good one-time watch.
Yeah.
Followed that up with Anyone But You.
This movie is what made me create the list on my Letterboxd, if you follow my Letterboxd, of movies so bad that they offended me. This is what made me create that list. This is officially my worst, like my my most hated movie of all time. I could say that with certainty. Like, and that's after saying Zone of Interest. That's after Zone of Interest. Okay? Anyone But You is my least favorite movie of all time.
Wow, it's pretty intense.
Of all time.
It's not that bad in my opinion, but
It's that bad
it's average.
and worse.
It's remarkably average.
See, do yourself a favor and go watch the 90s Much Ado About Nothing, starring a very baby Keanu Reeves, I believe Don Cheadle. Go watch that. Do yourself a favor. I mean, or if you don't like Shakespeare, just don't watch either one of them. But
No, watch this one because it doesn't sound like Shakespeare.
no, it's
I have a feeling yours sounds like
it definitely
Shakespeare.
does.
Yeah. So don't watch that one if you don't like Shakespeare.
Yeah, just
This one is.
I can't recommend this for anybody.
But put it this way: if someone watched this and is not familiar with Shakespeare, they would not know it's Shakespeare.
But it's like they put just quotes throughout the movie. Like, again, I hate Sydney Sweeney. I hate her voice. I hate her acting. And
Do you hate her boobs?
I do.
What?
I just hate everything about her. Gwen Powell does nothing for me, but I hate Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah.
Like I can't like
I don't, but
this movie was actually painful for me to watch. Like I tried so hard to fall asleep in the theater so that I didn't have to watch it anymore, and I couldn't do it. It's just I don't wanna just keep bashing movies for the sake of bashing movies, but as somebody who does love Shakespeare, this offended me greatly.
Well, we followed that up with the only 5-star film for the month of February.
A good Shakespeare movie adaptation.
10 Things I Hate About You came out in one of the best years of cinema, 99.
Because I'm telling you, everybody thought they were gonna die.
So, but yeah, this was a great movie. We watched this in your SCAD Cinema Circle Theater production display thing, and it was good.
You gave me a cute little Valentine on the screen.
Good. Yeah, it was good.
Rest in peace, Heath Ledger. But like, I was on board with this movie, like, because I'm not a rom-com person. I am notoriously not a rom-com person. But something about Heath Ledger just does it. and I knew that also uh, our theater was playing this extremely loud at the very beginning. Like it was, I literally had to cover my ears
Yeah.
because it hurt so bad, and I could hear it just fine. But when he was singing, "I love you, baby," I was like, "Yep, this is the movie of all time. This is the movie.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it. 5
Love
stars.
this movie. 5-star movie."
All my thoughts are in my reviews. So I don't know. Today I'm kind of like, it was good. But you can read all my look at all this juicy stuff for you to read.
Ew.
Read on. Next up is Bob Marley, One Love.
One
A standard biopic. Put it this
love. I
way.
would say
I measure any kind of biopic, but especially a music biopic. I measure it by if I leave that theater and I'm now essentially obsessed with the topic. That's a great biopic. I did not leave the theater and instantly download on my Spotify 20,000 Bob Marley songs. So to me, it's average.
yeah, I guess I was expecting a little more. I mean, the actors were great. Like I love I forget his name. He's British.
Yeah.
Whoever the mm,
Kingsley
Kingsley.
Benadier.
Yes, he's great.
That guy.
He's great. Um yeah, it's not necessarily a biopic that's like if you want to learn more about Bob Marley, go see Bob Marley One Love. It's not that kind of movie. That's more like if you want to learn more about Elton John, go see Rocket Man. Uh, it's just if you love Bob Marley's music and have appreciation for it, then go see it. Like my grandfather is a huge Bob Marley fan. The few times that Bob Marley actually came to the States to perform, uh, my grandfather went and saw him 3 times before he passed away. And
Bob Marley.
right. Bob, my grandfather's still very much alive. So he saw this and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go see it." And yeah, so he's like the kind of person that would appreciate this movie because it's sort of like a concert film, if you will, because it's mostly the music. But yeah, it's not offensive. Really.
Again, we're only watching these movies because we have the A list. So this is not something I would have gone out of my way to watch.
I would have, because I do enjoy Bob Marley.
Moving on, we watched a very funny movie,
Yeah,
ironically in Black History Month, Blazing Saddles.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, definitely like a top 5. You can't make it anymore kind of movie. Incredibly racist, but
It's self-aware.
It's self-aware, and it's only making fun of racist people.
Right.
So,
like, literally, we watched this on HBO Max,
something like that.
and the first like 20 to 30 minutes of the movie on HBO Max is somebody talking about this film, almost like if you were to make like an intro sequence of like the Disney's like we are aware of the nature of these old movies. We don't think this anymore. They are a product of their time. Think of that, but instead of like a little like 30-second flash on your screen, it's like a 30-minute explanation of this movie. So we're all on the same page that you can't make this movie anymore, and some of the things that are said are not PC. But you know, you kind of have to take it for like the time. And like you said, it's making fun of racist people, not promoting racism.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely check it out if you like Mel Brooks,
Gene Wilder,
all those guys. Then we watched another Best Picture nominee, The Past Lives.
Also forgot about this one.
This is it's like a half Korean, half English languaged film, and again, I don't understand the hype on it, but
it's just another rom-com. I wouldn't even say that.
It's not a
rom. It's just a rom.
Rom-drum.
Rom-drum. It's a rom-drum. And I don't know. I'm the wrong person to ask. These just aren't my types of movies. Like, they could be amazing movies, but they fall flat for me. Unless they do something really special, a la 10 Things I Hate About You. They have to do something special for me. They just can't be your run of the mill rom drom. 5 stars. Good lord.
Right. Then we went to the theater and watched this thing, whatever this was,
We
Out of
watched a lot of
Darkness.
things this month.
Yeah, Out of Darkness. This is a totally artificial language that was made up for the movie, and then it's dubbed or subtitled in English. But it's not a real language; it's made up.
It describes itself, I think, as like a prehistoric horror film.
Yeah,
and it falls flat on both of those things somehow, both prehistoric and horror.
I don't know what the hell this was.
Yeah, it's just so much nothing. It's so much nothing. Like, if we're talking prehistoric, I need to see me a mammoth. Give me something other than rocks and trees and grass to look at. Good God. And we saw a film sort of similar to this vibe. It was on Netflix. It was British. Help me out. The Ritual?
Sure.
The Ritual. And they're, a group trapped in a forest, can't find their way out because the forest like just kind of engulfs you, and they're being hunted by something. And that one won me over because they had this huge moose creature thing. I love big creature thing. This didn't have that. If it had a big prehistoric creature thing hunting these people while the people are trying to hunt it, boom, you sold me. But it didn't. It was boring.
Yep, don't recommend it. What I do recommend is Land of Bad. This is the movie that, because I had only ever rated movies 5 stars on my letterbox. This was the movie that made me go, damn, this is nearly 5 stars, but it's not. But I still want to give it because I love it that much. So from now on, I'm giving star ratings to all my movies, and it's thanks to Land of Bad. This is up there with The Beekeeper as like a big surprise for the year. And never been a Liam Hemsworth fan. This is like the movie that is like, okay, this guy, he can hold the screen. When he has to be visceral, he's visceral. When he's intense. Those might be synonyms, but and I love it's a sub genre, but I love where there's a character that's remote and there's another character that's talking to that person and they're communicating, and that's the whole movie. And that's like the Taking a Pelham 1 2 3. That's like Die Hard. I love two characters. Yeah, you could, I guess, phone booth. Yeah, that, like, I love character movies. That's what it is, and it's Russell Crowe is like this guy commanding the airborne strikes on this mission, and it's so intense. It's just such a great film. I love this so much. I don't think you liked it though.
No, the only part I liked about it was there was this part about like Russell Crowe, and he's just in his Hawaiian shirt going and buying vegan cheese for his pregnant wife.
Mm-hmm.
That was the best part of the movie. And it didn't even have to do with the war.
Yeah. Highly recommend this one. Highly recommend this one. Then we watched Drive Away Dolls. This is Ethan Coen's first feature-length solo film without Joel. And it was all right. Mixed bag,
I liked it.
Kind of middle of the road, if you will.
I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it too. But it's only 2.5 stars. I wouldn't say it's like, I'm not buying it when it comes out. Don't ever want to see this again. Luckily, it's incredibly short. It's less than 90 minutes. So this thing just is over before you know it.
Sweet and to the point.
Yeah.
Whereas like Zone of Interest, I also think is like 90 minutes, and that felt like it was 5 hours long.
And we watched 2 movies this month that had very little of who we thought it was going to have. Argyle had very little Henry Cavill, and this had very little Pedro.
And really,
because he had to go film Last of Us.
That's true. Yeah. Would be higher on my list if it had more Pedro.
But yeah, whatever. For some reason, Miley Cyrus is in it. Couldn't tell you why.
Yeah.
And she's uncredited.
Yeah.
That's that. We watched a very old Best Picture winner. It's the second Best Picture winner ever. It's the first musical to win Best Picture. It's called The Broadway Melody, and this thing has aged worse than the little orange that we have. So we have like a little orange that came out of a Starbucks protein box months ago.
No, it was over a year
Okay,
ago.
whatever. We just for some reason put it up on our
bedpost.
the bedpost.
And it's
And
still
it's
there.
still there. This has aged worse than that has aged.
It's literally harder than a rock. Like you could bang it against and it makes
This
sense.
is just a movie. You know, that actually truly ages. But yeah, I don't know. There's something about this is just awful.
I liked
Awful.
it.
And most people, you even look on Letterboxd or Rotten Tomatoes, it's rotten. Everyone says this is aged so incredibly poorly.
I guess for some reason I liked it. I don't know. I didn't think I didn't love it, but I didn't think it was so terrible.
Yeah, it's awful.
Like I would give it like
There's
2
like-
stars
There's
at least.
There's nothing that you can relate to in this film. It's so unrelatable. It's not even funny. Moving on. Ooh, we watched Madam Web.
What a way to end the month.
And let me do this in the way that it. New York City ain't a whole new level of crazy these days. Letterboxd is.
You
'Cause-
practiced for that, didn't you?
Because in the trailer,
Yeah.
New York City's a whole new level of crazy these days.
Yeah, this
I enjoyed the Dakota Johnson's face.
James.
So yeah.
James. It's so like this is AI movie. Like I don't believe that anybody's actually talking, especially the main villain guy.
Oh, yeah,
I don't
he's
believe-
not. He's ADR to hell and back.
Yeah, he's not real.
Yeah, he's the worst part of this
I'm
movie.
hardly convinced that Dakota Johnson's real. I just think that she's been like deep faked. And somebody typed in her lines in a computer, synced them up to like her voice dialect, and then pressed play. Nothing is real. The way that lines are delivered, not like how humans speak. Just how people interact with each other, alien.
It's definitely a very bizarre movie.
Like,
Spider-Man 3 is worse. I would argue that.
Oh, I know there's movies that are worse, but I audibly laughed at parts that weren't meant to be funny. Like there's odd cuts and camera work. Like the
In the
cinematography
beginning, yes.
was definitely like somebody was under the influence, or multiple people.
In the beginning, like the jungle scene with the mom, that was hysterical. That's
Yeah.
like room level quality, everything.
I just think a lot of this is like room level quality. Like, all the CGI is like, I could literally like, in the time that we spent recording this episode, I think I could create better digitally implemented images than Madam Web did in the entirety of its production history.
I don't know. It
Not
worked.
real movie.
It worked for me.
February didn't exist in my book.
But
What a way to end the month.
yeah, go check it out for yourself. See if you like it. No,
like-
we ended the month.
Oh, yeah. I
We
totally
ended-
forgot.
We ended the month. So I guess the second 5-star film. But this is a rewatch. James Cameron's Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
For some reason, I thought,
No, we went out on a high note in February.
okay, thank God.
This was part of Flashback Cinema. Unfortunately, we watched the 4K transfer, which is the notorious one that has the awful just transition of film grain to smooth looking wax figure. Like everyone looks artificially generated, which is ironic because they're fighting against AI, but everyone looks fake in this movie just from the presentation. Like I love Cameron, but I don't know why he apparently loves getting rid of the grain from his old movies.
No. Imperfections.
Ah,
My
it's-
movie?
It's just no. And then like like you said, the imperfections, the truck jumping the canal, the windshield pops out. He fixed that, but then he didn't fix it all the way because then there's scenes where it still popped out. So
Arnold's
it's
face
just
being
like
digitally put on.
yeah, like
Stunt guy.
no one asked for that. No one asked for that stuff to be. We like that. We like going, that's not Arnold, and then moving on with.
Because
our
then we feel
lives.
smart about it.
You know, but it's just you grow up with it, and then all of a sudden there's a new version that you don't recognize. So it almost feels like someone came in and butchered, and then you realize it's the guy who made the movie. So it's like, James, look, you're still
Jimmy
awesome,
boy.
dude. You're still awesome, but you have some serious faults. these transfers. Although The Abyss I kind of liked. That's a 4K transfer he approved.
But you didn't grow up with that.
I didn't grow up with it, so that might be why. But yeah, your 4K transfers, I don't, and then you approving Terminator Genesis. That's you are going to love this movie. Yeah. Anyways, you had seen this movie before, but first time on the big screen.
First time on the big
Yeah.
screen.
So,
And you know, I've been with you for long enough and have gone through all the Terminator goodness with you.
yeah, it's all downhill from here if we watch any other Terminators.
Well,
We've
just
watched the best.
like we've been with each other for so long that after the film, and just throughout the film, I was pointing out little things like how I noticed that was Arnold's face instead of the stunt guy.
Right.
Or
right.
hey, like there's a scene that I feel like is missing here. Or hey,
Yep,
I didn't. There was like, where's the camera guy that you see in the back of the car?
Right.
Like little things. And I'm like, wow, this I got it all from this guy. And yeah,
You love hitting me.
I
What the
do.
hell is wrong with you?
We love like going like this to Fee.
Okay. But yeah, so we ended on a high note. Terminator 2 Judgment Day. It's one of the best films of all time. It's definitely the best sequel of all time. Yeah, I mean, just everything about this movie is perfect in spite of the filmmaking imperfections, like the cuts, continuity, all that stuff. That's totally fine. Like all that stuff I let go. Just because the story is so darn good. But you know what's funny is I just want to talk about this, like because I'm a part of some Terminator groups, and people love picking. I'm sure, like in anything, Five Nights at Freddy's, whatever. You get so into a fandom, you're just gonna nitpick on a nitpick on a nitpick. And somebody brought up, they were like, I've never understood why the T1000 only runs after the characters when they're in vehicles running away from the T1000. There's plenty of times where he's just walking very casually at the character. Wouldn't you think he'd run at the characters even if they're not running? And then it's funny to read the comments because most people are like, well, it'd be a short movie, wouldn't it? And then people are like, it's a movie, bro. But then I love the people that dive in there and they're like, no, because think about it. If the T1000, Terminators are infiltration units. They're designed to infiltrate, to blend in, to not draw attention. So that's why only when the T1000 needs to, when the target is literally getting away, he'll run after it. If it's from here to the kitchen, he's going to take his time because he doesn't want to draw attention.
And then Jim Cameron's just like, right.
Well, no, I mean, if you watch behind the scenes makings of any of his Terminator, like he specifically on T2 3D Battle Across Time, like there's a great moment where he's like, but then if Linda jumps through or she doesn't jump through, we have to assume she's so like he gets into this stuff.
Well, we're talking about the same guy who made a whole book based on fake plants that he made up in his head for a world that doesn't exist.
Yeah, and helped develop a whole language. But yeah, so I love stuff like that I don't even think of, right? That I never thought about that. Why does the T1000 only run when, And then someone was like, how come Arnold in the first movie, after he cuts his eye out and puts the glasses on, why does he fix his hair?
I don't know.
He literally puts the glass, like he's looking in the mirror and he fixes his hair. Why is a Terminator fixing his hair? And again, you could tie that into the Dark Fate mythology, which is they're always learning. Terminators are always learning. So he's adapting to human. So, okay, I'm gonna act a little more human. Okay. So I love shit like that. We ended on a high note. Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Love it so much. Can't recommend it highly enough. And with that, ladies and germs, that's our month. So now we're heading into March. This is a lot of Best Picture stuff we're going to be watching in March because obviously this month is Oscars. So yeah, very excited for that. And of course, we have our Rotten Tomatoes live stream. Why does the camera stop focusing? Okay. And keep focus. God, my eyes are right here.
Yeah. My eyes are up here.
Jesus. Does that little, see? Why does it do that? See? Why is
That just put your hands down.
it because why is it doing that?
Because your hands. Don't do hands.
Oh, don't do hands.
Don't do hands.
Oh, don't do hands. Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll be back with another video or a live stream. And until then, there's one thing you always have to do. Keep being fans. Something.
All right, now do hands.